All right. This is just a random lecture on web scraping. I don't know. Maybe maybe it's interesting. Maybe not. I don't know. There's as far as gathering data out there to look at and things like that, you might want to try a little bit of your hand at web scraping. And so there are, there's all kinds of resources out there. There's Beautiful Soup, which worked really well for traditional HTML. But as the internet has gotten kind of more dynamic, I think other tools have become necessary. And then so there's ScrapeEye, which is pretty good. And then there's like Selenium browser, which is useful. And so Selenium is very powerful and can be done a lot of things. And sometimes you need Selenium in order to scrape data that's behind either a paywall or a login thing. So like if you wanted to get things from, say, X or Facebook or things like that, where you can't really view content unless you're logged in, then you need something like Selenium, okay? But where you have like this automated browser where you can open these sessions and go in and pull that thing. But I think technically you're breaking the terms, usage terms, by doing that, okay? Because a lot of these sites say, hey, you're not allowed to use bots to kind of scrape our stuff. Instead, we have these, you can pay for an API to get that thing. So, if they catch you doing bot stuff, they might ban you, or block your account or things like that. But ScrapeEye is useful for kind of websites where you don't have to log in. So if there's a website where there's a bunch of it, like you go on Amazon, you don't have to log in to browse the products, okay? Things like that, okay? ScrapeEye is going to be great for that. All right, there is a bunch of documentation. I learned about ScrapeEye when I attended a conference. There's something called PyCon. This is the Python conference, and they had it earlier this year. And I feel like I learned a lot. And one of the things I learned about was ScrapeEye. And so this individual has posted kind of a tutorial, and I'm basically pulling a lot of and we're just working through one of the examples that he posted here. Okay. But anyway, there's a bunch of stuff on the documentation as far as how to use it, getting started, ScrapeEye at a glance, and then the tutorial. And I would say, if you're serious about trying your hand at a web scraping project, work through the tutorial. This is just a very, very brief introduction, and you'd have to kind of adapt it and things like that. Okay, the site that we are going to scrape from is a site called toscrape.com. This is a site designed as a kind of a web scraping sandbox where they have basically a fictional bookstore and also a kind of a quote page. And these are set up so that you can try to scrape the information from this thing. And so this is kind of a sandbox designed so you can try to develop your web scraping skills. And then if you can get things to work well on this site where you don't have to worry about, like, this is so I'll say a place like Target's website Okay, they have, it's not too different from, this fictional bookstore where they have a bunch of products and you want to kind of get information about them. A lot of times they have infrastructure in place to kind of hinder the usage of bots, okay? Just because, having your site getting hit with spiders and bots and things like that can bog it down, and they might, if they detect that, they might kind of rate limit your IP address or things like that. But this site to scrape is very kind of friendly towards being scraped. So you have that. They even have different versions of the thing. So you have the default page thing, okay? But you also, this is a kind of a fake website where you can scrape quotes and stuff. But they also have versions where this thing has infinite scroll. And so if a site has infinite scroll, can you still scrape the content? And the answer is yes, you can, but it requires a little bit of manipulation and workaround. You have, JavaScript developed content where you no longer have useful tags and all kinds of stuff. So they have basically different kinds of things where you can try to get things to work. But anyway, let's take a look. So in order, first you got to install it. So you can do pip install scrapeby. If you're using something like Anaconda, you do like Conda install scrapeby. You might have to use the SourceForge channel, but this will get it installed. And then, and this feels a little bit weird, but you have to use what's known as the scrapeby command line tool. Okay, and so the first thing that we have to do is we have to kind of create a project somewhere, right? So I'm gonna open up a terminal window, and let me. I'm gonna go to this folder. This is the folder I use for Stats21. Okay, and you're gonna type in scrapeby start pro. So this is assuming you've done pip install scrapeby. Okay, so once you've done pip install scrapeby, you're going to do scrapeby start project, and I hope this works. And then you put in the name of your project. We're going to call this project scrapeby demo, and this is going to create a folder called scrapeby demo inside my folder 21. Okay, so hopefully this works. Okay, so it has run. And it says new scrapeby project called scrapeby demo using template directory has been created in this folder, teaching 21 scrapeby demo. And then it says to start, you can start your first spider with, and it gives you the two commands that you need to run. So we're going to change into our directory, cd scrapeby demo. Okay, and we can see the contents there. And then we are going to copy this command, but I'm going to change it to the site I want. Okay, scrapeby generate a spider. This is basically we call these bots that go crawling on the internet. We call them spiders because I guess it's a play on the idea of the World Wide Web, and so you have spiders that crawl across the web, and you give it the name of the spider that you want to call and the website that you want to scrape. So in our case, we're going to call it the quotes spider, and we're going to scrape the website quotes.toscrape.com. Okay, so this is the site we're going to scrape. So we're going to call scrapeby generate spider, and then I'm going to, instead of calling it example, I'm going to call it quotes because that's the name of my spider, and then I'm going to put in the address. Okay. Let me just show you the my directory here. So this is my stats21 directory, and you can see it has created this folder called ScrapeBy Demo. Right now, in the ScrapeBy Demo folder, there's another folder called ScrapeBy Demo, and then there's scrapeby.cfg, a configuration file. And then right now it just has a bunch of Python scripts, settings, pipelines, middlewares, items, init.py, spiders right now has just initialized .py. So what I want to do, I'm going to do scrapey. I'm just basically copying this line. Scrapey, generate a spider. Sorry. Got a frog in my throat. Generate a spider. We're going to call this the quote spider. And this site that we're going to scrape is quotes.toscrape.com. So when I do this, it runs the script. And it says it created spider quotes using this. And so if I go into this folder now, under spiders, it now has it has created a new Python script called quotes.py. So this has generated the spider, and that's going to scrape our website. Okay, so that's how we get started. So far all I've done, pip install scrapey. You only have to do this once. And then every time you want to run a project, you call scrapey start a project, and then you give it the name of the project. That's going to create a folder with all of this stuff, the spiders folder, items, blah, blah, blah. And then you have to generate a spider that's going to crawl here, okay? Okay, so now what we want to do is we have to edit this spider file. So here we have it. So I navigate into scrapey demo, spiders, and then I got quotes.py. This is my quote spider. I'm going to open up this Python script, quotes.py, and this is the thing, okay? This is the script that we have to modify, all right? And so you can see what this is doing is it is creating a new class, object-oriented programming, okay? So it's going to create a class. This class is the quote spider class that inherits from the scrapey.spider class, okay? And we have the attributes. Name of this quote spider is quotes, the allowed domain, quotes.toscrape.com, and you can come back and edit these things, but this is just generated based off of this command, the quotes and the quotes.toscrape.com, and the start URLs is here, and we have one method called parse self, and the response, and right now this thing is completely empty. So what we have to do is we have to kind of build up this this thing, okay? So let me just kind of, I guess, here's the script, and this script has a whole bunch of comments on it to kind of explain each of these things. But basically, this part I'm leaving all the same, but I guess I'll read the comments that I've written on each of these. I don't know how best to make sure you guys can read this. Okay, so when we call class, this is going to define a new class, object-oriented programming, and this is going to contain the logic for a spider. The name of the spider is called quotes, and this is how you're going to refer to the spider when you use the command line. So when you call scrapey run the spider. Basically, you're going to say run this quote spider, and so you can create different spiders. Okay, and the allowed domains. This here we're going to say it's just restricted to quotes.toscrape.com. All right, and the reason why you want to have an allowed domain is you might tell your spider, hey, I want you to follow this link, right? Like at the end of the quotes page, you're saying, I want you to click the next page button so that it goes to the next page and gets the scripts from the quotes from that page. And you want it to kind of follow these links. But sometimes when you tell it to follow the links, you end up with a link that takes you to, say, Twitter, or takes you to Instagram or something like that, right? It's fairly common to have a web page that has like social media links at the bottom. And you don't want to start crawling these social media sites. So basically you just say, hey, I just want you to stay on this domain, and it will prevent your spider from accidentally going to these other sites and then running into errors because you didn't set up your spider to crawl the other pages, okay? Start URLs, we're gonna have it start on page 1. So here I'm gonna modify my start URL to on quotes.toscrape. Let's see, this was, okay, so I'm gonna start on this page. I guess I copied this quotes.toscrape page 1. And that's what we're going to put there. I think it will work even if it wasn't page 1. Okay. And then so what we want to do now is we wanted to write stuff into this parse method. Okay. So the parse method, like all other methods for object-oriented programming, the first argument is going to be self. Okay. And then the second argument is going to be the response object. So the way ScrapeEye works is it contacts the website and it makes a request, okay, of basically the content, and the response is basically the HTML content in there, okay, or whatever content the site delivers, like an XML form or something. And so what we want to do is we want to tell it to kind of parse the things. Okay, so what we're going to do is the response has different attributes, and so I don't know if you guys are familiar that much with a website, but you can right-click any of these websites and you can click View Page Source. Okay, and this is HTML, okay, and this is how basically when your browser reads a web page, this is what it gets sent, and then the browser knows to turn this kind of stuff where it says the quote is, the world as we have created it is a process of our thinking, it knows to make it render like this. Okay, and there are different ways to get the information out from here. What we can use is we can use something called CSS tags. Okay, CSS tags are often useful because the way a browser works is it looks at a CSS tag, and it which I think stands for Cascading Style Sheet, CSS tag, and it formats everything with the same tag the same way. So, for example, all of the quotes are in this size font with italics, right? All of the author names, are in this font in blue, okay? Right, so if it's a quote, it's this format. If it's the author, it's going to say this, and so on and so forth. And so, in order for web pages to kind of have a uniform feel, they'll say if it's a product title, okay, it's going to have this format. When it's the price, it's going to be formatted in green. If it's, a picture of the book, it's going to have this format and things like that. And so, if you look at the page source here, there's also, okay, this one, you have these different, they're called classes, okay, CSS classes. Kind of like objects, okay, but they're CSS classes. And so we're going to say like, hey, I want to pull, each block here. These are called divisions. And so in CSS, they get what's known as a division tag, okay, a div tag, okay? And then we can say, hey, each class, there's a class row and a class, I guess a column medium size 8 or something. These are just arbitrary things. And I guess we have something called class quote. And then the text of the quote is text. The author has class author, things like that. There's additional tags on things about change, deep thoughts, thinking, world, stuff like that, okay? And we have all of these different quotes and things like that. So what we tell ScrapeEye is we say, hey, I want you to basically go through and find all of the CSS tags, all of the div tags that are quotes. So we say, look through response, within that, the CSS and the div.quote tag, okay? And again, different ways for you to pull the information, but this is kind of what's in there in the tutorial. Let's see. The request. So here, we have. You can get from the URL and you can split and things like that. So anyway, there's different ways to go about it. But here we're going to use the CSS tags and we're going to look for everything with a quote. And then the yield, okay, is we basically create like a dictionary, okay, based on the information that we try to parse out, okay? So we're going to go through the page, we're going to iterate and do the same thing for each quote, because we want to get information from each quote, and the pieces of information, what we want to get, the quote itself, the author, and any of the tags that we have, okay? So this part, we are going to define a dictionary. We're going to give the names, basically the column names, when we format like our table of outputs. We're going to say, hey, we want to pull the text, we want to pull the author, we want to pull any of the tags. The text, we're going to select the text using, again, CSS tags. In this case, you have to kind of look at the source file, right? So what we want to do is we want to get the world as we have created it as a process of our thinking, and we look at what are the tags here, okay? And here it says we have a span, okay, and a class. So CSS, you have divisions, div tags, and you also have span tags. So here we're going to go take the span tag, and the class here is text, the text class, okay? That's not like a keyword or anything. So we're going to just say, hey, we want to take the text class, okay? Span.text, and then within that, there is even more stuff, okay? And we want to get actually just the actual text that is within the span tag. So that's what this double colon here is. Okay, span.text text. And we want to pull that. And so we call .get. Same thing, the author is inside the author tag, span the small class author. So we can see it's small.author, and what we want to do is the text. So not a span tag. We are doing the small tag, class, author, and we want to pull this text, Albert Einstein. And then here we have tags here, and we want to get things like inspirational, life, live, miracle, miracles, or whatever. Okay, and so here we want to get all of the divisions. Okay, so under div.tags and a.tag, okay, because you can see each of these things, the text here, we have inspirational. These are under the class. It's an a tag, an anchor, HTML anchor, and it's class tag here, but this is within the div tag class tags. So we say within div.tags, pull each tag, a.tag, get the text, and because there's multiple, we're going to call get all, right? And we form our dictionary like that. Okay. So that's what this is. This is often the hardest part of creating your spider, is because you have to go through, look at the kind of source code to figure out what is the appropriate tag. There's going to be a little bit of trial and error here to get this part correct. Okay. All right, and then so that will pull all of the content from this page, and what we want to do is we want to have it follow to the next page, okay? And then do the same thing on page 2, right? So what we're going to say is, look for the next page, and this is going to be li.next, okay? So, when you look at the source, what we're going to do is we're going to look for basically the next page, okay? So page 2 has this, and this is under an li list item, okay? Class is next, so that's what we specify here. We're going to say our next page is going to be the list item next, and what we want to pull is we want to pull the web address, the href. So that's going to be our hypertext reference, our href there, and that's found, okay? Because what we want to get is this aspect, the /page2. Okay, so here we're not. If we did text, what we want to get is, this next part, but we're not trying to get we're not getting the text that just says next. What we want to do is we want to actually get that /page2, okay? And so that's going to be from the anchor, we're trying to pull the attribute href, okay? And we call get on that. So that's going to be the next page. And as long as the next page is not none, okay? So I think on the last page, there's no next page. So if we do this, if I keep following page, eventually we reach an end. How many pages are there? Is there 10 pages? 11 pages? Okay, no quotes found. Okay, so I think at the end of page 10, there's no more next tag. Okay, there's 10 pages. And so in this case, if we say, hey, find the next tag, like if I view page source and I say, hey, find next here, it doesn't find it, okay? So that would return a none, okay, because it didn't find it. So we're saying, hey, as long as you haven't reached a none, then what I want you to do is I want you to follow that link, okay? Okay, so we're going to do response.follow. Okay, that says go to the next thing, and then go to this next page, that URL, follow the link to that URL, and then once you get there, parse it, okay? And we call parse, right, recursively on itself there, okay? And that's that, okay? So I'm gonna just copy this text and I'm gonna put it into my quotes.spider here. And I'm gonna gotta get rid of this script false, right? But so this is the quotes.python spider script. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And ScrapeEye is going to use this. It's going to call self.parse here and yield the contents of this thing. All right. Okay, so the way this works is now that I'm in my ScrapeEye demo folder, okay, we are going to call crawl. ScrapeEye crawl, we give it the name of the spider, and then we have -o, which is going to create our output, and you can create output in CSV files, you can create it in XML files, there's different output forms. CSV files probably what we might work with. So I'm going to call ScrapeEye crawl quotes dash lowercase o will append to an existing file. Dash capital O will wipe out an existing file and create one new. Okay, and the file we're going to create is going to be quotes.csv. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and this is going to run, and you're going to see a bunch of stuff flying by regarding, this is, you can see it's scraped from this page, right? It says it's scraped from page 9, text, we are not necessarily this, from author C.S. Lewis, okay? And from this, it pulled this and this and this, and it kind of shows you all of these responses here. And we can see we have now generated this file, quotes.csv. And I can open this up. Here, let me just open with Notepad. Okay, and you can see it has pulled basically all 100 quotes from the site, starting at page 1. Okay, with Albert Einstein, the world as we have created it is a process of our thinking. Okay, from Albert Einstein with the tags change, deep thoughts, and things like that. And so now you've created this thing. I think, let's see, some features might be lost. Don't show again. All right. Excel does not like the characters used for the quotation mark, because if you look at the original text, okay, it doesn't, I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is not a straight, so you have the regular straight quote, and then you have like the angled quote that says like opening quote and closing quote. And for whatever reason, Excel doesn't like this. I don't know. Let me see. Do I have format cells? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, but anyway, it's got the quotes, it's got the author, it's got the tags, and we can try pulling. And it went through all 10 pages and got 100 quotes. Okay, because I guess there were 10 quotes per page. So, that's how ScrapeEye works here, starting at page 1. Okay, and again, you can give yourself challenges by saying like, okay, what if I have a site with infinite scroll? This is a common thing that sites now implement, right? How do you do something that has infinite scroll? Okay, and so I don't have that here, okay, but if you check the GitHub, all right, you have information regarding these different solutions. So I think exercise 2, they were looking at some of these, looking at the URLs to kind of get these extra things. So anyway, that's kind of the introduction to using ScrapeEye as far as getting content. So yeah, there's information on using, say, XPath. So if you don't want to use CSS, you can also select using XPath selectors and whatnot. And so, work through this tutorial there. Okay, I think we'll just wrap things up here. This is just to kind of give you an introduction and say, hey, this is what's possible. And again, kind of the steps are to, from the command line, you'll call start a project, then you have to edit your Spider file, and then you, once you have your Spider file edited, you make the command scrapeye.crawl, okay? And the hardest part is figuring out, what to put into your yield or whatnot as far as editing your ScrapeEye Spider crawler, all right? But again, read through the tutorial, work through this website, toscrape.com, I think is a good sandbox. And then once you get it working there, then you can try adapting it for some other site with other content that you might be interested in. I think always makes a good kind of learning project if you've got the time for it. Okay, we'll wrap things up here, and I didn't set up a view quiz for today. Is that all right? I'm sorry. Do you feel like you wasted your time coming to class? Okay. All right. That'll be that, and we'll see you guys Friday, and we'll see you then.